And welcome back to Space Engineers. We are back here for episode, what are we at, 5? Um, Last episode, we finished looking at some buildings around. Uh, we finished the town, and then we finished the farms to the kind of the east of town, northeast of town, etc. We also finished some exploration of the hydrogen plant and Freddy's mansion. And here we are back at our base. And as you can see, I've done a little bit off camera here. I built up a little ramp to get to the roof here. And as you can see, there's a number of smoking and damaged things that I'd like to start repairing today. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get started in that. Um, so what we need to do probably is prioritize getting the. And we do have a refinery, and actually I've got that working, so I can refine minerals. And we do have an assembler here. I'd like to get that survival kit working as well, so I can heal or regain energy and stuff. Um, but I don't have medical components. I don't, or do I? I don't remember. But let's start. Let me get rid of this. Get access to this container. And we'll have to start storing some things as well. And I think, earlier on in this series I talked about, where are we going to make our base? And the conventional place to make the base is here. I thought maybe I'd make it down by the reactor. But I think I'll go ahead and just make it here. So I've got this ramp built. Let's take a look over here and see what we need to repair this. That is quite the explosion. Construction components and such. Okay, we've already looked through there. Well, I guess what we'll do is we'll see what we have in terms of components, and we do have some construction components. We'll just get a big group of components and see what we can get repaired here. Do I have any motors? I don't think I do. Certainly not enough, but let's see what we can get done with what we have. So I'm skipping ahead a little bit here. I was putting a large block, well, a regular sized block in place of one of these half blocks over there because I wanted to make a little nodule, as you can see here, and actually I ended up using a triangular one. I need to change that to a square. But I wanted to make a little nodule because I think it'd be handy to get some more power going here. And to just have the ability to construct something that lines up with a full armor block rather than these half blocks which don't really attach to things very easily. Um, and so to utilize this nodule, we'll go ahead and put a solar panel on here. And I'll go ahead and build that up real quick. And that should help with our power consumption needs. And skipping ahead a little bit there with some more components, now I just need a few more solar cells. And that shouldn't be too hard. And once I get the power situation increased here with the solar cell, by the way, in case it's not obvious, I think the, well, the math on power is heavily in favor of windmills unless you're on a planet that doesn't have an atmosphere, in which case solar cells might be the way to go. So that's one other reason why it might be excuse me, advantageous to use windmills on this planet because we do have a pretty good atmosphere. We're getting pretty good power returns. But we can go ahead, I've started a small stone mine over there so we can supplement our resources a little bit as we go. But I do have a number of additional solar cells we'll put on here and finish this up, and that should give us a nice little boost to our power, so that's great. Okay, with that done, I think what we need to do is Let's go get the starting vehicle that we didn't bring over. Yeah, let's. Um, this is the other Jeep that we could have taken, but we ended up not taking. I'm gonna just go grab that, so we have another vehicle, and we might even be able to break it down for parts if we need to, because we really don't need all these vehicles, and they do have a lot of good parts on them. And if I recall, it's just right down the hill here, somewhere, in theory. Uh, yeah, I think it's in this direction. I just can't. I don't know where it ended up. I'll go ahead and get my drill out while I walk in case I happen across any mineral deposits. And we do have that logistics report with all the expressly marked ones, expressly marked deposits, so we can definitely go to those places if we need to. Okay, here's that other Jeep. Let's go ahead and get that powered up, and we'll move this over to our base. It'll be a lot faster driving back there than it was walking out here. This little fork up here, I think we take a right. Right about here. And we're almost there. We'll go ahead and place it right up here. These things get pretty good speed. And they bounce around quite a bit. And this one, if it were to roll, has a nice wheel on it. So at the very least, I know that the top wouldn't get really damaged. But here we are. And actually, this one doesn't have a survival kit in it, does it? So I can't use that to increase my production or anything, but I will borrow some components because I need them. Borrow might be a bit of a euphemism. Downright steal these components. So I think I'm just going to break this vehicle down, at least largely down. It doesn't have anything that I really want. You know, it's a nice vehicle, but it doesn't have a survival kit or anything. So, with these parts, I should be able to really get a good solid start. But since it didn't have a survival kit, I think what I'll do actually is I'll just borrow the 3 medical components from this one real quick, and I'm not gonna be able to carry those. Well, I'll just do the ones that I'll just do with. Well, I'll put these in here, and that should allow me to get the medicals. And then we'll go ahead and throw those into this survival kit, which I can fully repair now, and that stops that block from smoking. And then get a pretty good start on repairing that assembler as well. So we're making pretty good progress. Let's get those extra things out of here. Once all these blocks, you know, the refinery and the assembler and everything are repaired, they'll connect up to that cargo container, and so that can be our master storage space. Okay. We still have quite a few things in this vehicle as well. So I'm just going to do a little bit more work here, repairing these blocks and such. And then what I will do is we will decide where to go next after that. Skipping ahead a little bit here, I've got my survival kit working, so I'm going to go ahead and queue up a bunch of ingots in the survival kit here on the inside, and that will allow me to have an endless, or a, constant supply coming in of certain minerals and components that I need, and I'll take these computers once I get them, because I need them to repair some other blocks. and eventually, once we get the assembler and refinery both going, and we need just a few more computers there, then we can simply, we'll have the ability to make things even faster and more productively. So there is the assembler itself back in order. We still need to fix this door technically. A couple computers in the display would do it. All right, and I'm just going to move this vehicle up to here, I think. And kind of just want to back this one up to the other one up to the connector. Just seeing if there's anything in this vehicle real quick. But I want to back the other vehicle up to the connector. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and make that happen now. I'll hop in the vehicle, back it up slowly. Now I could use my backup camera with the 4 button there, but I think I'm going to try to get it as close as I can without that. I'm just kind of estimating here, but I think it's kind of over in this way, and we'll swivel back to the right there. Yep. Try to line it right up, and it should plug right in, I think. A connector is pretty good at being flexible with some of this stuff, so. Okay, so that's backed up and connected, and that means that all the minerals that we collected in our exploration should go into the connector there. I'm going to keep breaking down this vehicle as well and getting those parts into the connector as well. Alright, skipping ahead a little, I have done some work taking down that vehicle and getting some resources into my system here. And we should have most of what we need to move on now. Or at least to be able to make a lot of what we need. I mean, I guess my initial goal is going to be to go ahead and try to get things repaired around here. Eventually, I think I need to make a full-blown refinery and a full assembler. But for now, the basic versions of those should suffice. I'm going to put these data pads in this locker as a matter of course. They don't take up much space, so I should be able to get nearly, hundreds of them in there. And that way I can kind of keep track of the story aspects of my playthrough here. And then I think, let me just take a look here. I think what I need to do after that, I'm trying to clean up these inventories, you see. So I'll get my space credits out. They don't take much space either. And get some of these tools out of here as well. Now I can either disassemble the tools, or probably I need to store some backup tools just in case. And there's some, let's get these soda type things out of here too. All these guns, a couple of welders, grinder. Okay, and I do have those explosives too, but I don't really, see, the thing is I have no idea how to use those explosives, so I don't know what I'm doing there. I'll put that coffee and the clan cola in here as well. And then I guess I can put the tools in this little wardrobe thing, just to have kind of a grab and go kind of system here. We have 400 liters of volume to work with, so kind of keep our eyes on that. We're getting close actually, 350, but it's enough to store them. I accidentally grabbed a couple of detector components, whatever those things are. Okay, so that should be a pretty good organizational system for now. Now, I think what I want to do, let me just take a look real quick and hang on one second. Okay, so I'm back. I took some time off camera to sort through my inventory and kind of consolidate a lot of things that were kind of in loose stacks everywhere. Now I'm making a few extra medical components so I can repair that survival kit. I ended up with some silver that I found, silver bars. I don't have the ability to refine silver right now, but I found silver bars, so I figured I'd just make a few medical components and fix up the truck that I stole those from. So I think it's this one. Yes, there's the broken survival kit. Again, I got those medical components in there. I still need motors and computers and such, and I should be able to just sneak in here and grab a couple from my system. Yes, okay, so grab the motors and computers and a few steel plates. I think I need some displays. Should be what I need. Let's take a look. Okay, and that should be back in working order now. And let me just, and it's got some things in its inventory from before, but that's fine. Let me just power up and I should be able to access it here. And even though I have the survival kit in there, I don't really want to have to rely on walking over to the truck and getting things and moving them to our other main system. So I'm just going to take everything and move it to our main system now. So that empties out that truck. I'll go ahead and power it down to save energy. As you can see, I plugged my main cargo vessel there into the side of the building, so it's getting power. It had plenty. I mean, most of these vehicles have plenty of power to begin with. But, yeah, so I'll just go ahead and throw these random things in here, and they should, you know, I don't know how the game does the sorting, but it seems like they should auto-sort to storage containers where there exist stacks that are capable of being added to. I mean, I think that's how it should be programmed, but I'm not sure that it is. Okay, so I'm back in this vehicle, getting a little energy. Well, what's that? Yeah, there we go. Getting some energy. I'm playing with the toolbar there with the light. But getting some energy from the cockpit, and here's the backup camera. So that's always fun to play with. But go ahead and power this back down now that I'm fully recharged. What am I... Well, I guess it's time to... Well, actually, no. I don't really feel comfortable going out again yet. But I do want to take a look at one thing real quick. These are all the blocks that I have. I've got a battery. Alright, well, and there's the ladder. So I was like curious how would you deploy this thing, but I don't think you can. I don't think it's rigged up to be like rotated into a place like a actual fire truck would be, you know? I think it's just you can grab onto it. So I don't know. It looks nice, but I don't. It seems to be more cosmetic than functional. All right, here's our sleeping quarters. I definitely want to repair this thing. So, construction components and 5 computers. Shouldn't be too hard. Let's grab that. Where's our computers? I know we have some. Consolidate those interior plates. Interior plates look kind of like computers, so... do I not have computers? I guess I can make a few. But... yeah, there we go. I do have some computers down below as well, but we'll just grab these new ones and we'll put them in. I like that there's a component called computer, even though it's, you know, it's not like an individual computer. There must be like computer parts, might be a better way to think of it, because, you know, I'm like imagining this guy like taking 5 desktop computers and welding them onto the side of an air vent. Obviously that makes no sense. They've got to be like, here's a hard drive, here's some memory, here's whatever, you know, here's a processor. So there got to be computer components. There was another air vent on the backside, which I like how that looks cosmetically, so we're going to go ahead and repair that one as well. I took note of which parts we needed to do that, and I feel like I'm going to need some motors in this. So in general, I do have some motors, but I'll need some more. There's some computers, some steel plates. That's 10 motors, that should be good. Go on over here, and we should be able to stop this fire. Like, I love how this fire is just burning out of control. I kind of wish that, I mean, this would probably be resource intensive for the game, I guess, but you know how in StarCraft, uh, if you have a Terran building and it's damaged too much, the fire actually damages the building on an ongoing basis until it goes away, until it dies. I kind of wish there was a similar dynamic where something could be damaged enough in this game that it slowly lost health over time, and then I don't want to say exploded, but you'd lose parts over time. Maybe some things like a reactor could explode, but that would be an interesting mechanic and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a mod that does that. But finishing up that solar power panel, I'm not going to bother to repair that for now. I don't really mind that. It's just cosmetic and it doesn't do anything in the game, and it doesn't bother me. It's kind of out of the way anyway, so let's put these space credits somewhere. Maybe I can. I think there's an ATM in town. Maybe I should just go deposit it at the ATM. But anyway, might as well break this vehicle down a little bit more. Um, the nice thing about disassembling vehicles is you get parts that I'm not even capable of creating yet. I don't know if I can create detector components yet, but I certainly can't create. I don't think I can create large steel tubes yet until I get a full assembler. So it's nice to be able to break this down and get those parts that I will need. And in fact, if you're playing along at home with this scenario, I'd recommend breaking down at least one vehicle early on to get yourself some parts, because there's like 20 or 25 rovers vehicles in this scenario, and you really only need about 2 or 3 of them. Maybe some people only need one of them. So it's a really great way to get rid of excess material and get parts that you need. And you get plenty of routine parts too, like steel plates, that you would save a lot of time from having to manufacture. In fact, interestingly enough, if you play in survival mode on like a server or on single player, you find yourself needing steel plates all the time. In this scenario, I would say that there's only really one moment where I think you really needed like iron so you can make a whole bunch of steel plates, and that was when you're making your refinery, your full-blown refinery. That requires like 1100 or 1200 steel plates, so that's quite a few. But for the most part, you don't really need a lot of steel plates in this scenario because you don't really have to build that much in terms of structure. So I put my parts down there. Now these wheels have a large steel tube in them, so that's good to keep in mind. Also, when you're deconstructing things, I don't know if this is really a thing or not, but I feel like if you don't deconstruct those small little lights um, before you deconstruct the block that they're attached to, I feel like they just go away when you deconstruct the block they're attached to. So I always make an effort to try to get those small lights deconstructed first so that they give me their construction component. Maybe I just don't. Maybe what's really going on is I just quickly harvest it after I break the block it's attached to, and I just don't realize it. But it seems like you lose that material if you don't harvest it first in that order. So that's why you'll see me do that a lot. You'll see me. I'll be routinely deconstructing something, and then all of a sudden I'll like make an effort to go deconstruct the light that's attached to it. It could just be a superstitious misunderstanding of mine, but that's what I do. So in this game. Right, and we keep getting these superstructure, or these armor blocks falling off, so we have to get those. We got this small battery. Unfortunately, we don't get the power cells from harvesting the small battery. We'll get this projector, which we could have used to repair this vehicle, but again, the whole point of deconstructing it is to get the parts, so get rid of that projector and everything. We've got plenty of materials now, and what I should do is I should go around and yeah, well, let's put all this away, and then what we're going to do is, so we're going to need a refinery, and we're going to need a full assembler, but the problem is that I just don't think that we are able to afford those right now with the parts we have on hand, so I think we're going to either have to mine or find more parts, and I think another possibility for me here is um, it might be faster if I were able to fly around. And since this scenario doesn't have jetpack enabled, I'm going to have to build a small flying ship. So I think what I'm going to do, and I can't put a thing there, but I think what I'm going to do is let's start building a small ship. Now I've got a whole bunch of blueprints from the workshop for various ships and things, and as well as things that I've built. And I think what we're going to do is I'm going to build one of my favorite um, little ships, and it's going to be a little speeder bike thing that I found on the workshop. You'll see when I select it here what it is, but I need a few parts to build this. So what you're going to want to do, and this is a good lesson for people who want to use ships from the workshop, there's various ways to make to do what I'm doing here, which is to use a projector. Now the projector is a weird block. There's a cross and then there's a two. It's hard to see here, but off to the left there's a two,
Energy low.
like up and down cross section, and then there's a X cross section. And what you want is those two things. One of them is the top, and the other is the projection. I think it's the up down cross section is the top, and then the X cross section is the projector that shoots out from the block. I could be wrong. I might have that backwards. But either way, those are the two operative places on the block. So you want to get what you need to build that. Go ahead and build it. And you want it to be on a small grid. So that's why I put a small landing gear down. That's the one way to switch from the large grid of this building I'm standing on top of to a small grid for a ship. And once you get that, you're going to need a power source and a way to control it. So the way to do that is to build a small battery, perhaps, as well as a, like a control button or something. We'll get to that in just a second. But let's finish building the projector block itself. Okay, so that's exists now. And now we need a battery, so let's find and the control panel. So we need a construction component, computer, steel plate, and display. And we need a battery as well. So I'll go ahead and place that there randomly. It doesn't really matter. And we can go ahead and grab the other things we need for that. Computer. Those might be at the bottom here. Yes, okay. And one display. And the computers, okay. Okay, so we'll weld that up. And before we can actually get this block working, I mean, we can find it here, but the problem is it requires power, and we don't have power yet. So we can't use it until we power it up. So in order to power it, we need just to put a battery on there. So I'm going to go to small battery in the G menu. And we'll move that down. We'll put that, we'll just put it here for now. That's fine. You may want to do this a little more carefully. But I'll get the components I need for the battery. I need 2 power cells, and that should be mostly what I need. Get that built. We need a couple computers. Okay. Keep forgetting to grab computers. But once we get this, then we should have everything we need. So what we're going to do is build that in, and now we should have power for our projector. And the projector doesn't take much power, so you just need 1 small battery, and that should be good for a while. We're going to go and click on blueprints under the projector button in our control panel, and we have a bunch of ships here. And what we want to do is I want to find my speeder bike. It's not even a bike, it's just a speeder. Yeah, I have so many things here. Let's see. 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 Let's But let's, these are all available in the workshop that are showing up, except for maybe a couple of clunky ones. Okay, here's the Cepheus K3 Siren speeder bike. So let's go ahead and grab that. And once we select that, and you can just double click it, you can also open it in the workshop as well, but okay, so that's there. Now if I click out of this, you can see the block. Now what we need to do is we need to get it flipped and oriented toward what we want it to be used for. And the way to do that is to go down here under the projector controls and play with the pitch, yaw, roll, horizontal, vertical, and forward, backward offsets. And we just kind of tweak this until we get it positioned right next to one of the blocks that we have connected to our projector. So give me just a second. I'm gonna, you're gonna have to fiddle around with this. Now, if you get your projector placed properly, it should start out being placed nearly correctly. But I think I might have had my projector backwards or something, so I had to flip it a little bit here and move it up and down until I got it positioned right. Now I've got it right side up here, but I need to get it backwards a little bit and over a couple. So I think what I'm gonna do is just work on, and I can't really build anything onto it right now, so I'm gonna keep tweaking it until one of these blocks becomes buildable. Okay, let's try that. Alright, that's actually pretty close. I need to move it forward about 2, or backward, whatever the direction is, toward my projector by 2. And keep in mind, when I talk about 1, 2, etc., those are small armor block distances. So let's try that with the forward offset, make that 9. Okay, that looks good. Maybe one more even. So let's go to the forward offset. Now, again, there's different ways to use projectors, and I'd recommend, there's much better tutorials out there than what I'm showing you here, but a really good thing is if your blueprint has a projector on it, you can line your projector up with the block that's part of the actual blueprint. But so there's different ways to do it. I personally like doing that, and actually it was something I learned from this scenario, because a lot of the vehicles, the ground vehicles, have they have projectors in them that self-project. So you might call it a self-projecting blueprint. Like this vehicle down there right behind what I'm building has a projector buried underneath of it that if you ever had some damage to the exterior of the building, you'd just get in your control panel and you'd turn on the projector and you'd be able to repair those damaged or missing blocks very easily. But anyway, what I'm doing now is I'm trying to adjust the position of this blueprint using the forward and vertical offset until position, and finally I got it in a position where I can start building here. And what I need to do now is I need to get components that I can fill in these blocks with. Basically, when you do this, you want to, you can use the build planner and stuff, but I think this one I'm just going to do by hand. The main purpose of what I'm doing here is I'm building a flyer so that I can kind of circumvent the fact that this scenario doesn't give you a jetpack. So in other words, I'm trying to increase my transportation and getting around speed. I'm not going to put Gatling turrets on it like I talked about. I'm just going to keep it as a transport vehicle. Again, I think putting Gatling turrets on it would kind of take away from the fun later in the scenario, so I'm going to try to keep it low-key in that regard. But, this should save up a significant amount of time by allowing us to not have to drive everywhere. This scenario was designed to be driven, for your vehicles to drive around, not to fly around. So, but it also gives us a better sense of where we are on the map, and it will give us a better ability to get objects moved from one location to another, although there's not a lot of storage on this thing. There's going to be a cockpit, which has, I think, 1,000 liters of storage, and maybe, I mean, obviously what I can carry on my person, so, which is 1,200, so I guess I have 2,200 liters of storage on that. This game is really interesting in that it uses liters as the storage capacity limit. I mean, it has weight as a mechanic in the game, and it affects things, like when you take off and land and stuff, it affects your steering and how gravity affects your ship and stuff, but truth be told, the inventory system is based on volume, which is liters, so I just always found that interesting, and I didn't even recognize it at first when I started playing this game. These thrusters are so annoying because they take so many motors. I'm going to have to probably build some. I think I have a few, but I think I'm probably going to need to build quite a few. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and queue some up. But let me see if I have, and these, you know, these atmospheric thrusters also each take, and I think people who play this understand how annoying these blocks are, because they're not that good, but they take up a lot of resources, and they're one of the most, one of your earlier high resource blocks that you need quite a few of. You can't just survive on one thruster for the most part. Like you could, I suppose, if you're really good at steering. It would be really interesting to design a one thruster ship where you literally have like a thruster underneath a block, which has maybe a battery, couple gyros, and a seat on it, and seeing how well you could control this thing would be really interesting. But I digress. Okay, so we're just putting some touches on this, but I think I'm going to finish this off camera, and I think when I join you next, we'll have our flyer built and we'll be able to take off from there. So in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Let's Play Space Engineers: The Lost Colony.